following announcement has been paid for by the Celtic World Order.
Hello there, good afternoon. Welcome back to Celtic World Order podcast. As always, I'm Steve O'Matt. As you can see, I'm joined by, it's becoming a new familiar face. It's my other bald and bearded brother. It's Joe Donnelly, back to talk about today's game because, as it says in the tagline, all eyes must now be firmly on defending the prize. Celtic are, of course, Scottish Cup action against Hibs at Celtic Park, upcoming 3 o'clock, and it's going to be a tough game. We're going to be here to talk about that. A couple of things that have come out through the week. And it's a cracking day. It's a brilliant day for watching football. It's a brilliant day for going to football. I'm sure at Parkhead it's going to be a brilliant day for the players to be out there and hopefully put in a decent performance. So, first and foremost, Joe, good afternoon to you, mate. How you doing,
Good
man?
afternoon. I'm good. Thank you very much. Good to be back. I'm excited. I'm excited about today. Myself and Paddy are going to be attending the game as well. So, really looking forward to it. Hopefully put out a good performance, as you say, and hopefully Brendan's starting 11's what we hope it's going to be.
Of course.
Don't think it's been announced yet, has it?
No, I think it's a bit early for that. We'll get on to that, of course. Game against Hibs. We knew what happened the last time round there. It was a bit of a sticky game, controversial. So we'll say we'll cover some of that, of course, because that's been since on that wee VAR review, and we'll touch on that. We'll touch on various things. But before we do, of course, as always, a wee bit of housekeeping at the front end. Just say welcome back to the channel. As it says at the bottom there, if you're a returning subscriber, then thank you very much for your continued support. If you are new, it's a warm welcome yourself as well. Just make sure you do one thing only. It takes you 2 seconds. It costs you absolutely nothing. Hit the subscribe button, hit the wee bell notification, give it a wee thumbs up if you like it. It just helps get more bodies in here, extend the reach, grow the community, and we thank every single one of you. If you want to help out further, you can by way of donation, like a new member here, Even McKinnon, and that is $1.99, the members page. It just helps put all this together. Everything we do is free. It'll cost you nothing, but it does cost us to do that. So thank you to all our members for that wee bit of support as well. If you want to get us elsewhere, CW Pod 1888. We're on Blue Sky, catch up on Spotify, and Paddy does that TikTok thing if you're young, hip, and trendy.
Know me.
But there you go. No, even Paddy, he's kidding himself on. He's trying to live vicariously in his youth.
He does well. He does well.
That's it. But anyway, listen, let's get on. Let's get down to business. There's a game to talk about, and it's going to be an interesting one today, Joe, because, of course, as we know, it's going to be a big slice of away support. Going to be 7,000 in at Parkhead. Will they fulfil that? It remains to be seen. But again, whether it's a cracking day, it's a Saturday, it's no far from Edinburgh. I'd like to think that Hibs can, particularly now third in the league, the way they've been performing off the back here.
100%. I think they will fill. I think they will fill it up. Absolutely. And do you know what? I welcome it as well. We don't tend to have major issues with Hibs and everything like that. I don't think as well that anyone wants to really push the boat out or anything in terms of creating problems. So, because it's an exciting time, like you say, the weather's back, the season's going phenomenally well for lots of teams. So why not make the most of it? Why not have it be a good day no matter what the result?
And that's the thing, Hibs and Celtic, and certainly my experience, I go to the match, I go to enjoy the match. I'm not one of these ones that are running about with scarves on my head and looking for a scrap, but in my general sort of experiences, Hibs and Celtic's always a fairly decent affair. Do you know what I mean? I don't think there's not too much trouble. Of course, there'll always be that wee sort of undercurrent that'll look for the trouble, but generally, no, I think it'll be a good day. And 7,000 should only, appeal to a good atmosphere and hopefully a good atmosphere for anybody that may be watching. A good advert for Scottish football, you want to call it. And it's obviously, of course, we know we've got the game against Rangers a week over. There's going to be about 2,400 in that, completely different kettle of fish, but it's good to get a decent away support in there. And whilst we're on support, let's make that our jumping off point then, Joe, shall we? Because, of course, as we know, during the week, Celtic released 2 statements, one on the 5th, one on the 6th, and let's just say they got some very lukewarm reception. The first one, of course, that came out on the 5th was in relation to the news that Celtic and some other clubs, because of Pyro, there's going to be a -500 allocation for upcoming cup games, believe it, Hampden, and the club just done their standard fare, saying been drawn aware is that this has happened. In reference to it's disappointing. There's a very small minority of fans that are ruining it for everybody else, and they're disappointed. Blah blah blah. Standard fair stuff. They also, laid mention to the fact that Celtic have that overhanging in European competition at suspended sentence, if you want to call it that, for similar, and basically an appeal to try and remind folk not to do it. It is what it is. It's disappointing, but the one that really got everybody was this one, and I'll bring it up and I will read it off to you. This was in relation to banners. Now, I want to know, once I've read this out, where you're at with this one, Joe. So it says Celtic Football Club shares the concerns communicated by our supporters regarding the use of banners at recent matches. Celtic's an inclusive club open to all with no political agenda, and is clear from the club's social charter and social mission statement, and no group of supporters or any other organisation speaks on behalf of Celtic. Everyone associated with Celtic recognises the important part that Celtic supporters play in inspiring the team and contributing to the Celtic spirit. Bands display should support the team or otherwise celebrate Celtic, be consistent with the terms of the Celtic social charter, social mission statement, and other terms that apply to all supporters' enjoyment of Celtic. That is why the club developed a protocol regarding the use of banners and organised displays at Celtic Park and any other stadia where Celtic plays, requiring pre-approval of fan displays. I believe that is that supporters groups would go to the club and say, this is a TIFO, this is what we've got, this is what we've got to do, are you all right with it? Thumbs up, and if so, let's run with it. Although there have been many occasions where the club's protocol has been followed with great success and support for the team in Celtic, unfortunately, there's a few instances the past weeks where protocol has not been followed, with unauthorised banners which has not been submitted for pre-approval or the protocol and displayed at Celtic Park. They're reviewing the events and the processes. We've enjoyed a good season so far and want to achieve together with supporters as much as we possibly can and approach the latter part of the season. In short, there's basically saying there's been a couple of banners that have been fired out there. We're not too happy about it and don't do it. Now, I can't necessarily say one that would be. There's been a few. There was the one at the last game that a lot of people were unhappy about. There's obviously been the Israel red card stuff and all this kind of continual stuff around the conflict with Palestine and Israel and all that. So there's been various things that people have been unhappy about. And we find ourselves again at a wee bit of a crossroad with this. It does say here, that it's not political and all this. And again, if you want to deep dive that, as some people will do, they'll go into the roots of Celtic and, sort of what Celtic stand for and all this kind of support for the downtrodden things. And I totally get that. And that's fair. And a general broad, stroke, where are you at with this kind of thing, Joe? Because it seems that the club will pick and choose when they want to get behind things. Big tifos look great on a big print that they will probably not ask the supporters group if they're able to do it. I suppose you can argue it's inside their stadium, it's theirs, and they'll sell it, they'll put it in a frame, they'll sell it to folk. But then there'll be other stuff, and they're not into it, and they don't want to do it. Is it censorship? Where are you at with all this stuff, mate?
It's really difficult. Obviously, I don't want to say anything silly as well myself. But no matter what your kind of views are on the political side of things, we spoke there, or you spoke there about Israel, Palestine, everything like that. I don't think that particularly belongs in any sport. And I understand why people do it, because they go, well, it needs to be out there so that people know about it. And the more people see it, the more people believe it. The more,
I mean, to just jump on that point there, I'll let you carry on, of course. No, I can understand that, and that is true. You're looking at 60,000 people, probably on the TV, social media, it'll gain attention, it'll get shared. So if there's a message and people want to put it out there, I can understand why it comes into football. So sorry, on you go, mate.
No, of course. As I say, it's not my remit to say whether I support it or not or anything like that. That's totally by the by. I just don't think it particularly belongs in the stadium. Now, loads and loads of folk will absolutely disagree with me there. As you say, it's good to get it out there, and if it's the right message, I totally understand it. But the fact of the matter is, we don't have all the facts. No one does. No one does except the politicians. No one does except the guys who are on the front line. So I think that in the meantime, you cannot pick and choose sides, and as you say, a bit of censorship here and there may be necessary. Celtic they do pick and choose at times what ones they want to support, but of course, like we all do, we all have a certain opinion, and some are going to be offended by it, and they don't want extra attention, and then further match bans, fan allocation cut, or anything like that as well. So I think in the long run, they're trying to do it in order to not cause too much controversy and bring too much attention to it. So
the question I've got for you on this, mate, is I understand, see this about the pre-approval things I say. So if you were wanting to do a full stadium tifo, my understanding is you will go to the club, liaison or whoever it is, and you'll say, this is our plan for the tifo, and you'll maybe show them a graphic of what it's going to be like. They'll give you the permission, you'll come in, you'll lay it all out, they'll set it up. If it's a banner, sometimes they will ask people to, I've seen it before outside the games coming in, where they've maybe unfurled it and it's somebody will look at it on the camera or something like that, or they'll show it before, like, before the game, they'll maybe send it to the club and say, we want to unfurl this, whatever. So that's what they're talking about, the pre-approval. What I'm asking is because of this being such a sort of a sticky point as a season, it does, and it is, to an extent, it is censorship. Now, of course, there's been many banners that people have seen various reactions from all through the course of the season. So you could argue what one is it in particular. That's what I'm getting at. There's a lot of people that will have different views, they'll have different leanings and all that kind of stuff, right? So I'm not saying it's that one, It could be any one of things, because as we well know in modern society, there's always going to be people. There's always going to be other people. There's always going to be someone somewhere or a group of people who don't like it as much as other people do like it, and that's going to come on with it. That's what's going to happen, right? That's
why they have to put. That's why they're putting this kind of broad blanket, if you will, over the entire thing, and not giving us a specific. Because if you give a specific, again, you're then picking a side. If you say, "Oh, listen, no Palestinian flags at the game," right? Well, you're picking the side of Israel. That's terrible. Why no Israel flags?
Well, that is the thing. It's such a hot topic. As I say, there's been numerous banners, numerous displays and things that have been out at Celtic Park that have covered a wide variety of subjects. I say, some people say that's for me, others will say that's not for me. So as I say, in terms of putting it down and saying what one is it in particular they're talking about, I genuinely, I'm at a loss, because as I say, it could be any one of them, depending on how the club feel and depending on how our people feel. But what I'm saying is, what sort of reaction do you think this is going to elicit? That's really what the point I want to get on to. What do you think this is going to do? Because as we've known before, over history has shown us, when the board and the supporters groups have had a divide and there's been a tension there's been protests. Obviously, there was the point where it was the upside down banners and all that kind of stuff for the Green Brigade and that. Do you think that it'll just make these people and fans groups, how would you say it, sneakier or smarter or whatever, cuter with how they do these things? And are we going to see them push back on it and basically just say, you're not telling us what to do, and they'll go against the grain and you'll see things coming out and it'll become a problem? Are we on the
That's what I do think is going to happen now.
Are we on the potential of it kind of, with the removal of the Green Brigade and the stuff like that before? Are you worried that it could go down that route again, where they could push back and something happens there?
Yeah, I do. I believe that is exactly what will happen. I believe that the banners and tifos and everything like that, if anything, will only get worse, because, as you say, they'll just get sneakier about it. We know they can do it. We know, we've seen it numerous times, especially, as you were saying earlier as well, with the pyros and stuff like that too. If they want them in, they'll get them in. It's as simple as that. Almost all of them could be searched top to bottom, but if they want to get them in, they'll get them in. So I do think it's going to make it worse, if anything, and that you're going to see a lot more controversial ones. And if that's the case, again, then we're going to end up going down the route of match bans, of fan allocation getting cut and everything like that, which I wish wasn't the case. Sometimes you do need to push back. I understand why they may feel that they need to, but if anyone here is part of it, all I would ask is that, listen, take a step back, think about it, just in case, because there's no point in all of us getting punished because of a minority of view.
This is the thing, and to stitch, I absolutely, I'm aware this is, and as it says on here, we're very much like everybody, different sides, get the opinions in. Do you know what I mean? Because as we say, there's really no right or wrong. Well, of course, sometimes they'll be wrong. Of course, there was don't get me wrong. Of course, there was some wrong, but what I mean is within reason, we're very much like to have everybody's views and takes on it. So I mean, if you're sitting there's over 40 years now watching, what's your thoughts on this banner situation?
Yeah.
That comment again is with the two back-to-back things, talking about the pyro, then talking about the banners and displays. When's the right time to do these kind of things? As it says in that statement, Celtic are in a good place. Celtic are cruising, 16 points ahead, one trophy in the cabinet, just off the back of a decent outing in Europe. And of course, we're now finding ourselves en route to potentially defending another trophy, getting a treble in the bag. So when are these things coming out? Is there ever a good time to do it? Is there ever a good time to do it? With a midweek, a clear midweek, there's no football. They throw it out the 5th and the 6th. It's sort of start end of the week sort of thing there. Is it kind of right? Get out of the way. People have forgot about it at the end of it. That's what I mean.
I do always think that that's a case as well, is that if you put it out midweek, people, as you say, have almost forgot about it. and they've got it out of their mind for the weekend, and then by that time, it's not. The club have done their part, is what I'm trying to say. The club have done their part by putting out the statement. If it then happens at the weekend, it's not in their hands anymore. So I do get it. They're kind of washing their hands of it as well. And as Alan said there, it's very bloodlines. You want to be firm with your fans, but at the same time fair. And they can't just pick and choose when they want to step in and what agenda they want to step in on as well, as I say.
And I think this is the thing. We go back to this, and when we had the previous sort of ban, the shutdown of the standing section, and at the time, a lot of people were saying it was because, remember, with the large Palestine display at the time, and folk were saying, that's what caused it. We do know factually that maybe timing-wise from the club was terrible, because it made it look that it was all about that display at that time. But as we say, the reality is that there had been numerous problems, that are a culmination of problems with the standing section with various things, and that was just the one that they done, and they removed them. And as I say, and I think I commented on it at the time, I thought it was terrible timing from them, because it really did make it look as if it was all about that one specific topic, when the reality is it probably wasn't. It was probably numerous warnings and sort of things like that. But my concern is, at this point in the season, when we've got a lot to push for, the fans undoubtedly will play a massive, massive part in us getting over the line. I just don't want to see any sort of conflict, particularly when we look at the two games they've came out. We've got this huge game against Hibs, so we'll go on to a trouble against Hibs. Always gives a tough game. Then we'll get a game against Rangers next week. Now, again, regardless of what you think here, with the fans in the stadium, there's going to be an extra edge to that game. You want everybody sort of as harmonious as you possibly can. That's what I mean. You don't want these side distractions, and I don't want to see the board and the fans going against each other and that creeping into the stadium and into the stands and into displays. And as it says there, it can sometimes play on the pitch. It can, if there's an unrest, it can play on the pitch.
It's a really difficult one for me. Did the club then come out and say, right, okay, no pyros or no certain types of banners until this point? Well, that's all.
That's never really going to happen now. Obviously, the problem you've got here is and it's 420. Am I saying don't rock the boat? No, as I say, I've no skin in the game on this one. I really, really don't. We're just broadly commenting on it. I just don't want to see that divide again. I like to think that we got over that point. You know, when Brendan first came in, we had a wee bit of tussle between the harmony between those that run the club and the fans, and even the acceptance of Brendan himself. And there was a real sort of weird sort of atmosphere at points throughout his first season. We really felt as if we got over that. Obviously, he came out and he took a fire at some of the fans as well, and there was that rumbled a wee bit. And then we've really got over that. Bridges have been built, atmosphere's been great. Everybody's been singing for the same hymn sheet, and it's been really, really good. Yeah. And it's just like another wee spanner in the works. That is, do you know what I mean? It's annoying. That's annoying. And the thing is particularly when nothing's done. Now, again, there's never a good time to do this, but had it been done once the league was secure and all that kind of stuff, you might go, right, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
It came quite late on in the game of the season where it shouldn't have that much a sort of effect. So you could maybe argue the time is actually all right. But you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm sort of gesturing towards here. It's just it's rumbling, and I know from experience, the fan groups don't like getting.
They don't like pushback.
And that's it.
They don't like that kind of pushback to the club. So it's a difficult one. We of course don't want to say anything silly here as well, but you can't. The picking and choosing isn't going to happen. So we're not going to select, or the club's not going to select a time or a place where it's suitable or anything like that. So we can get that straight out of our heads. Whether fans do it or not is in their own remit, and whether certain groups, fan groups, and everything like that decide to put out tifos, banners, and everything like that. Again, as I say, if they want to get them in, they'll get them in. We've just got to hope that it doesn't cause too much trouble for those.
The one thing I don't want to see is at times displays and banners can add to the visual
atmosphere,
impact of things in the atmosphere. The biggest thing for me is the noise. So I can honestly live without. Times I would go as far as say I couldn't care less if there was flags and banners getting waved at games. It's as long as the noise is there.
The noise is there. People have got their scarves and their taps. That's it. See if they've got their scarves and their taps. That's all we need. And a great big huddle.
Paddy's saying you guys are going there. This will be interesting, actually. It'll be interesting for you and Paddy to sit there, watch a game in living colour and see what the atmosphere is like. I'm sure when we come on and we talk about the game after the event, you'll be able to give us a first-hand account of it. But no, as I say, just a strange one throughout the week, and that's the thing is Snatcher saying you can't and won't be able to please everybody. It really is as simple as that. And this is one I think we'll just need to see how it pans out. We'll play it by ear and see what happens, see what reaction, if any, come for the fan groups. I think with the ones with pyro and stuff like that, look, that is what it is. I would be more concerned around that side of things, because that's going to result in enforced bans quite easily, particularly in Europe. And the last thing we want to be doing is losing away fan allocation or partial closures looking into next year, potentially in the Champions League or whatever. You don't want that, because that's massive. It obviously strips away revenue for the club and obviously atmosphere and of that support, basically. So that's the one that I think is there. But surely again, there can be potentially workarounds with this. We've spoken about this time and time again. Is there a way to have quote unquote safe pyro that's of a certain standard, that's approved, that's maybe purchased in by the club and they know it's all safe and it's issued to whatever supporters at the time and all that kind
of stuff.
The
biggest thing for me is the safety side of things. Like for instance, when me and Paddy are going today, young Finn's coming with us. He's only 4-year-old. If we're next to someone or he's next to someone who's got pyro, you can't really protect them from it. And that to me has always been a bit of a listen, just calm down, just it's not worth it. It's not worth
I think over the piece since we came into the grounds more often, from certainly my recollection, I think we've been relatively fortunate in terms of the safety aspect. I think there's been a handful still, probably more than it should be, We've heard these stories of people getting hit with these things and that. You don't want to hear that. That's terrible. But generally speaking, I think we've been pretty decent. When you look at some videos we've seen with people getting their hands blown off. Not thankfully we've not seen that extreme end of things. But no, like these are sort of matters that are down to the fan groups, the liaison officers, and the club to sort of hopefully get around the table, have a wee powwow about it, and work and find the middle ground. The reality is, though, is you are never going to be able to 100% control and tell these fans what to do, because we know ourselves, saying rock up with a banner and shows it or tell us what you're going to do. Yeah, that's fine. That's a procedure that's in place, and that might adhere. But you know yourself, let's just say there's 3,000 of them. It could be something as simple as having a wee square and sticking it down your trousers and then pulling that out, and it all joins up and becomes something.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that's the thing. So that's the thing. So it's and that's the thing. It's different things that they'll affect different people and things like that. But again, these are hurdles in the long run that the club need to go over. As I say, that was the real sort of talking point, if you will, in terms of the club. It's all been sort of quiet, if you will, surprisingly, around Celtic after this week. 2 statements, as I say, snuck out there, and it's all around fans. And we just started at that point because, as we say, we know it's going to be a full house today, and of course there's going to be that increased allocation. So with that in mind, well, let's start to just turn our eyes on the game, mate, because there's a couple of other things to talk about. We're going to bring this up, so get them straight in. We're going to talk about the last game against Hibs. It's Henrik McLaughlin. He's trying to hear a bit of pulling a square out your trousers. We're talking about, you've just missed all the action, maybe the sort of dry stuff. Talking about the statement regarding banners and pyro and how that might affect it. As we say, you might not be able to control these things in terms of it being a big banner, but as we know, banners can be made up of wee squares. So there's things like that you can't account for. So let's move on, because, mate, there's a lot at stake in this game. It's a cup game, of course. You've got to win it. Let's talk about the last game. Let's talk again. Let's revisit that cut-off goal. Now, as we said at the time, you can't conclusively say it's in or out. Yes, the base of the ball might be, there's the line, there's the base of the ball. But a ball's curved, and at its thickest point, it could be over the line. That's it. We don't have the technology. Now, did you watch the VAR review? Did you watch the VAR review, people? If you did, let's get your comments. I've got a wee bit of VT, because here at CWO, all that fancy stuff, we try our best. And I want you to pay attention to this. So this footage here. This is what we were produced on this VAR review, and it is, for me, quite frankly, shocking. Mr. Alan Muir, I counted around about 7 to 8 times, tries to press the matter that the ball is out. And pun fully intended, he was trying like a bear. Look at this one. That looks out. Look at that. There. It's desperate stuff. Now, what I will say here, Joe, is the AVAR is very, very firm and we can't conclusively say that. We can't do this. We can't do that. He does his bit, and he does it properly. It's not conclusive. We can't give it. But as we see here, VAR, this is Alan Muir. He is minutely looking for any potential angle, image to say the ball is over. The unfortunate bit for him is, unless you've got Johnson pretty much in line with the bottom of that Willy Hilly sign, you can't say that's it. When it is that close to the line, we don't have the technology to draw that image and show that that's in or out. Of course, as we expected, Mr. Collum says, this is wrong and here's why. It has to stand on the pitch. If the on-field decision was out, we would stand by that as well for that very reason.
Yes. Yep.
Talk to me, mate. Alan Muir, is his position becoming untenable now?
Well, again, it's a very difficult one. Like the way that he pushes it is unbelievable. and 420 says that he's overexcited in it. He's going, that's definitely out, oh no. And he says, I'm going to give you a factual review here. It's not factual. You can't tell from there. You're giving your opinion. That's the whole point. It's not a factual review. So that to me really, really bugged me. When I'm going, well, it's not a factual review.
Keep on going. We'll just run this whilst you go there, mate. But no, I agree. This is the thing. We all say we hear that it's video assisted referee or assistant referee. It's not video refereeing. And that's what's happening here. If you have to look that much and go over it and pour over that this much, it's not there. It's not clear and obvious if you are.
The linesman's not put his flag up. The referee on the pitch has said, no, that's a goal. That's it. That's the on-field decision. That why is it going this far? In the first place, I understand the call from Hibs to look at it, but
to bring that back, you can't get a conclusive angle. Look, he is pouring over that tape, trying to find something that, quite frankly, isn't there and can't be proven. Now, people might jump on and say, Alan Muir, as we know, he has at least 4 or 5 what you would call strikes against Celtic, where some shocking decisions. So I can understand that you can lean and say, he's one of them, he's a blue nose, he's a Rangers man, he's pushing his own agenda. You can get down that. You can also then look and say, well, the cup final where he should have given a penalty to Rangers on Czerny, he doesn't do it. Does that balance the books? For some, yes. For some, no. For me, over the piece, it just says that he's quite clearly incompetent. That's the biggest concern for me, regardless of any bias or leaning. He is wanting to influence the game, re-referee it by his standards.
He thinks that he is the top man. Is the problem there is that he feels he's calling all the shots when it comes to it. But realistically, as we've said already, he cannot conclusively say that that's in or out. The AVAR said that as well straight away. He's like, I can't conclusively say it, that's in or out. Linesman didn't put it up. Referee on the pitch has said, no, it's fine to me, and gives it. So, to me, that's the decision at the end of the day. It shouldn't have went as far as Muir to be able to even say that and review it a million times over and claim every single centimetre that is out.
And I think for me, the biggest concern here is I'm a bit disappointed. I don't know, can't remember who the AVAR was. If you do, let us know. But for me, the AVAR does his bit. He stands his ground and he knows that we don't have the means to say it, and he pushes, no, we can't do that, we can't do that. And it's wrong that he eventually does give in and is worn down. But when I heard the audio of it, obviously it doesn't have it, it sounds as if he's badgered and berated down that much. He's worn that much down, but he just goes, aye, right, I agree.
Mm-hmm. And is that fear then for him? Is he feared to go up against Muir? That's the thing for me as well.
That's the thing. Is he? I don't know who that is. If anybody knows and knows how experienced the AVAR was, do let us know, because I have no reference point for what I'm about to say here. But perhaps if he's a less senior official, then maybe there is an element of that. But at the same time, it's also more detrimental for him to go along with it and then be out in the open, what we're talking about right now, and on the VAR, and basically have his boss saying, they boys have had a nightmare. That's a shocker. That, for me, looks worse than him standing his ground and going, nah, I'm not backing you up on that, mate.
Aye. Yeah.
Because I totally agree. I can't understand. Since the VAR reviews come in, whether you like it, whether you think it's a lot of garbage, whether you think it'll improve anything or it won't, you know it's coming. If you're a referee on the pitch, a linesman on the pitch, or you're in that VAR truck or wherever it is studio, you know that a decision like that, it's going to appear. It's that polarising that you're going to end up on that VAR review show. So
it's the same as we always say.
That would make you think a wee bit more about how you do your work.
It's what we always say as well, is that, well, that now has to be the standard. Do you know what I mean? So now they have to, no matter what, stick to that stick to their guns when it comes to that kind of thing as well. So if that ever happens again, it's rare that something like that does happen, but if anything like that ever happens again, is Muir going to be as tentative, shall we say, about how he looks at it? Is he going to be, analysing it repeatedly for the next 15 minutes or something like that so that he can get his decision right or whatever? I doubt it, is what I'm saying.
In terms of that is a complete and utter game-defining decision. That's the point here. Now, let's look at where we're at. Celtic have got to beat Rangers, Hearts, and one other. 3 games gets us there.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind, if that goal goes in, Celtic go on and win that league. So we win the league potentially against Hearts. We bring that forward a week. Now, I know that's not a lot, but we move that forward. So it is altering the time scales, the potential time frames in which Celtic can achieve and win things. So that for me, I think that Alan Muir has had too many strikes, and I think that in particular, it's not. If
Alan Muir as well is a Rangers fan, it's potentially put him more in the danger too, or them more in the danger as well, because Hibs are not that far behind Rangers in the league as well.
No,
so
they're not.
They need to look at that and think about that as well.
And this is the thing. So just to scan over the rest of that VAR review, there was some ones where it was, again, similarly subjective or not factual. It was Dalby, the header for the D United, and they say it hits his hand. And they say, we don't have the means to say that's hit his hand. Again, I come back to the English version, the European version. Usually when you've got something like that, even when you see the graphics, we see the still photo and some lines drawn on it, the picture. Theirs is all digitized. So they would show you the action of the header, it would turn into a digital graphic, and it would show you a point of contact. We don't have that means. So again, they're calling that as a factual overturn, it's a handball, and he's sitting there and saying, didn't happen, can't you see it? There's no available angle that tells you that happened. So they should negate it. One other one, just whilst we're on it, before we move on to the actual game and the lineups and all that, was again, we're talking about Johnson involved twice in VAR review. The other one was, of course, we spoke about, again, game-defining decisions. The penalty situation.
Yes.
And it was they said that should have been a penalty. And I said that at the time, I thought it was. I didn't think there was enough deviation on the ball. And it was quite interesting because we mentioned, remember, Engels against Bayern Munich? Similar situation.
Very similar.
He referenced that and he says the difference between the one with Johnson and the one in that game was the deviation of the ball was far more
obvious.
The ball changed direction, whereas with Johnson it didn't. Again, potentially in this case going against us, that could have been a massive decision that could have altered the outcome of that game, because as we said when we came on, covered it, St Mirren are good value for money.
Yes, absolutely. Great game. As you say, it could have altered everything when it came down to it. Thankfully, we managed to get that much of a lead that it was looking unlikely. But yeah, that one's a really, really difficult one, as I said at the time. His touch on the ball, while it doesn't deviate the ball's direction, I think it was going in the direction where his foot was going in any case. So the pace behind it was, was something to consider as well. So that was the big thing for me. He didn't get the top of his toe on it. He got the bottom of his foot on it. So would that have changed direction even if he got more of the ball? No, it wouldn't have changed direction. So I think that's where the sort of review came into it as well.
So just to finish up on all this VAR stuff and we're going to the game, today's action, a lot of people are saying, quite rightfully so, not fit for purpose, get it in the bin and things like that. Now, we know, I believe we work off a 4-camera system, which is the absolute bare minimum. What camp are you in, mate? Are you in the scrap VAR, VAR's garbage, or is it a combination of we've got a low-tech version of VAR, but the problem more lies with the officials behind the technology because they are not using it within its limitations to the correct letter of the law. They're trying to do VAR proper with VAR diet, is what I'm getting at.
Well, yeah, that's probably where I stand more than anything, is that if you're going to have it, we know they're going to have it. It's as simple as that. So do we have the full fat version, as you say, or do we have this diet version that
Do you
doesn't
think this
seem
could be
to be
improved by
completely
slight?
working?
Are you in the all in or nothing camp? So I was talking to a friend about this and I said, even a slight improvement, 6 cameras.
Yep, aye, and that's exactly where I stand. I'm in the camp where I go, right, well, if you're going to do it properly. If you're not going to do it, then get rid. That's it's as simple as that. Because if there's all this controversy every single time a VAR review comes up in Scottish football, it's no good for any team. It's not just for us. It's not good for any team at all. And Henrik says it there as well. That VAR is only as good as the people operating it.
And the thing
Totally
is
understand that.
With
But
the 4
do you
camera
think-
system, it's spread out.
Mhm.
But
Well,
if
do
we
you-
had 6, you could have them potentially on each goal line, and then 4 more narrow. Make the interval shorter, maybe make it slightly better. Again, that's. But the problem is let's be honest here. Celtic is the biggest and most powerful club in the league financially and on the pitch, of course. Then you get Rangers, and you maybe drop down. It's up for debate with your Aberdeens, Hibs, and Hearts.
Yep.
VAR is going to cost those clubs a lot more.
Yeah.
Do you think there's an appetite from the clubs to invest at their own pocket, depending on how much it's affected them over the course of the season?
Well, that's it. Because it's like tossing a penny in a wishing well. You don't know where it's going to land, because you don't know how the season is going to go at all. You could get more VAR cameras, brilliant, but then almost every VAR decision could go against you.
Yep.
So it's not a win-win situation every single time. I think. Do I think that these guys are doing the best with what they have? No. So that's where I'm caught between a rock and a hard place, because I go, right, well, if you get more cameras, do you get better results from these people because they are doing their best with what they have? Or do you get more cameras and you still get the same crappy decisions and terrible decisions, either for or against your team, whatever else it may be, but still just not on the same level playing field that the English League or the European League has got? We're never going to get to there, but we need to get something that's at least closer. Is my opinion. Is that I think that there has to be some sort of investment somewhere. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, again, these are things we've had this season now. We went through. I think what is this, our second season of VAR or thereabouts, maybe actually more. But it's been a while now that it's been in. And so it's been a while that it's been in, basically, and it's decisions and it's conversations to be had during the summer, no doubt in my mind. There's various things that we need to have a look at, because I like the VAR review thing personally. I like it. It shows a wee bit of transparency. It tries to show a wee bit of sort of forward thinking by Willie Collum. But as people are saying, the big letdown is the people that are operating, the people that are in place, and whatever is happening there. Whether they talk about we're learning points, we've analysed it, we've spoke about it, we're training, that still doesn't seem to be happening, because the key decisions that are getting made wrong would theoretically reduce, and we're not seeing that. So again, big decisions as we go into the tail end of the season, but for the now, it's what we're stuck with, and as we say, it's relevant to today's game, because that's our opponents there. And the last time it was controversial and we lost. So anyway, with that in mind, mate, Hibs riding the crest of a wave. They're on what a run! They're on.
Unbelievable.
They've went from wanting to sack their manager, being right on the cusp of doing that, pulling the trigger. I think that was a bit brave to show some faith in him. I know that they had some injury worries and stuff.
But good on them. It's not very often it happens, so good on them, and well done to Hibs for turning it round like they have. I mean, as we said, it's just been absolutely unbelievable how they've managed.
Relegation fodder to being pretty relatively comfortable in third, and obviously at this stage in the cup, they've got a lot to play for. Again, we come back to it. We're at Celtic Park, home crowd, advantage, all that kind of stuff. We heard the manager speaking. It looks as if it's going to be a relatively clean bill of health in terms of squad and selection and options to choose from. One that will cheer you up was, of course, I don't know if he's going to make a squad, but
I don't know.
James Forrest is back in the loop. That's that's interesting. But
makes me happy.
Of course it does. But the one thing, starting off, where do we go with this game? Just to jump straight in, last time, couple of changes, as we well know. And the biggest one was, and we'll keep revisiting this. I'm sure we'll keep revisiting. We'll revisit it next week when it comes around to talking about the Rangers. Adam Idah started last week or last time out, and
as we said, it was we said at the time it was disappointing.
Stinking. Yeah, it was poor.
Yeah.
So I've been putting out a few things talking about this on the social media and engaging with conversations around this. And I says that in every must-win game, now I know when you're at Celtic, you win every game, but what I mean is every league game until such a time as the trophy's in the bag, it's mathematically impossible.
Yep.
And also in the cup, every stage we're in a cup game, we're still in the tour and still in the tournament in the top. Get through today, next game, final, so on. Hopefully, every time we've got a game that you have to win, for me, Adam Idah cannot start.
No, I'm the exact same. I'm the same camp as you. Our strongest front three, as we know, is made up the middle. Jota, Kuhn, done. I don't think Brendan is as silly as we think this time round, or is going to be as silly as we think this time round as well. I think he underestimated Hibs last time, which is understandable.
Backs, I like this. Oh,
here we go. Well, we're hoping that may be the case this time as well, isn't it? So, Brendan, as long as he's got the right head and his shoulders and he doesn't underestimate Hibs again, because he knows now that they're not going to take it lying down, and they've ran into this league unbelievably well from where they were. So yeah, let's make sure that we've got our strongest.
So in terms of today, is the side right in itself? Is it? I've seen a lot of people saying that there's a few things to be questioned. There was the trusty or scales sort of question that was coming in. I think we maintain with Schlepper. I've said that time again. The midfield again. Cal McGregor, they said that he felt a wee sort of twinge. So for me, really, realistically looking at it, where I'm standing, Cal McGregor's the only one that's got a question mark over it now. Fantastic. Leads for the front, and he's been a stalwart. Yeah, at times his performances have been a wee bit lukewarm. When he came off last time out, I felt it was, he had a wee twinge, but I didn't think he was up to it. I thought that it was the right decision. It was a brave decision to make and substitute your captain at that stage of the game. I don't think that we have any real, at home in particular, I know Hibs are a tough proposition. I don't think there's anything lost to leaving Cal McGregor out today, mate. And I think from
agree.
what we've seen of Engels, he plays the Cal McGregor role quite well.
Yeah, he does. He picks up that midfield really well. And he doesn't drop back as much as Cal McGregor. I've given my thoughts on the whole dropping back and pass backs and everything like that. I've given my thoughts on that before. And I believe that Cal is one of the guilty parties who does it far too often. So it's a difficult one for me, but I think that Cal McGregor being off the pitch this time round might be the best thing, especially if he has had a twinge. We don't want him getting injured at the end of the day as well, where he's not going to make the next match, especially against Rangers. We don't want him.
So are you feeling comfortable then? Would you go with an Engels and an Engels Hatate? McCowan situation. Is that what you're into?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I've had my opinions on McCowan as well, but I do want him to come out actually and really run with it, because he came out last time round and was fantastic and totally different to how I had seen him in previous games. So yeah, I want McCowan to be out there and really be hungry for it and get a good result.
So in terms of that I think that's the sort of sensible bit of rotation, if you want to call it that. I think the back four, you stick with that. I don't like messing around with that too much, and I think that it's kind of strange one, because I'm maybe going to contradict myself here. I've says you deal with status quo, similar as I says with my head up front. I think there's certain guys that I'm seeing that look a bit rusty by not being in the game and they need to be played, and one of them is Scales. I think
I would
he
agree.
falls into the category of once the league's out the way, you can start looking a wee bit of rotation. Of course, you don't want to suddenly start drawing and losing games and letting the other side of the town maybe creep in and go, see, wasn't that close? I wasn't that far off, that pattern. But I think that once the league's in the bag, you maybe give these guys a wee bit more time, because he looked particularly rough the twice that I've seen him come on. Shaky,
See, I don't think Scales could go up where Scales plays. I don't think he could go up against Cherny, for instance. I don't think that he could stop Cherny if it came to it. Whereas I think Trusty has a much higher chance of doing so.
Yeah.
So, for me, I think Trusty in place of Scales for the time being is the best way to go. But as you say, is he getting rusty because he's not getting enough play? Well, that is absolutely probably the case,
And what about, obviously, I'm a great advocate for Maeda, but Ida, I'm sure we'll talk about him. But the other big one, I suppose, is Kun or Yang, because Kun has been one of our MVPs of the season. I think until the real afterburners were put on by Maeda and he started to get through the middle and scoring more goals. It was always the good goal tally on a par with Kun for most of the season, but he just seems to have fired on the afterburners, found a new lease of life in that position, and he's left, in my opinion, Kun for dead in terms of, if you're talking Celtics player of the year and potentially a player of the year in Scotland. So Kun, fantastic player. Again, he's just been a wee bit up and down recently. Yang's been playing fantastically coming off the bench. He's turning a lot of people around. I'll ask you once again, are you part of this Yang gang? Where are you at? Is Yang, is today, are you on the same wavelength as me, where it's no tinkering? Yang's been doing well, coming off the bench. Let's not change that. Let's keep him doing that. Keep the formula that's been working. Or do you think, why not give him a wee shot?
No, I'm very much with you again on that one. I think that I think that coming off the bench is best for Yang, and I say the same for Ida almost every time as well, because I don't believe that they are great starters. But well, we're talking about Maeda putting on the afterburners. I think that Ida and Yang managed to do that whenever they come off the bench. When we're 1 or 2 up, is a fantastic and perfect time for them to just go in, get the last couple in as well, make sure we walk away with a 4-5-0 or 5-1 or
4-0. Paddy's shouting at 4-0.
4-0. He's screaming at his iPad right now. 4-0 it'll be 4-0. I'm telling you it'll be 4-0. So it's one of the ones where I think that Yang has been coming into his own recently. Brilliant. So happy for him. And I hope that next season we really, really see some great starts from him as well. But I don't think for this season that's where he should be at the minute.
So we go in the game. I'm assuming we say we're going Schmeichel, Schlupp, Trusty, Carter Vickers, Johnson. Going with Jota. Yeah, we're going Jota. We're saying Engels, so. McCowan, and Hatate, and then Kun, Maeda on the middle. That for you? Yeah.
That would be the ideal lineup for me. Kun unfortunately has become a bit more predictable, as you say. He's not been fantastic the past couple of games and things like that, but I think he still does give us that bit of relief down the wing from time to time, and his crosses and his relationship with Johnson is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. The way they two bounce off each other is what really creates the opportunities, what created that VAR opportunity as well, in the end.
So see, just before we finish up, talking about, obviously we think today, we know what we're up against. Hibs will be a tough proposition. They always are. They're very well organised. I think at home in particular, it's a great day. It's a brilliant day for football. The pitch at Celtic Park has been looking in decent condition, big expansive pitch. I think that it will be a different tact for what it was like at Easter Road. Of course, being the home team, Hibs are always going to come out. One thing is, they're very well drilled, very well organised. They had a lot of good energy and they're coming at us. Be interesting to see if they try that, because I just get the feeling that if they try that same thing at Celtic Park, then they'll get picked off a lot easier. We spoke about some players, some guys that would leave on the bench. It was Yang, it was Ida. I just want to touch on that because there's been much said. A lot of positive for Yang, a lot of negative for Ida. And again, just to broadly speak, based on recency chat, where do you see in the summer these players? What do you think? What does that say to the manager? Now, I said that I think Yang's came on to a game. I genuinely, no disrespect to the guy, just my feeling. I think that we are maybe getting a bit overexcited based on a small sample size. I always say take it at face value. If it continues between now and the end of the season, and then he can show it in pre-season and at the start of the season, then I'll start to become more of a believer. But at this moment in time, I'm thinking Haksabanovic, I'm thinking Palmer, guys that done similar, good runs, and you went, oh, they're getting it now. They know what's happening. It's all about consistency. It's all about maintaining. And I don't think that for me in the long term, he's going to be a guy that's going to force his way into the first team. An option at best, and I don't think it's going to change Brendan's mindset when it comes to summer rebuilding. I don't think it's going to prevent him buying one or more wingers.
Yeah, no, like I say, it's difficult. I think coming to the end of this season, keep him on the bench, bring him out late is I think the way to go. I would like to see him next season getting a few starts, so long as you say pre-season. Over the summer break as well, he puts in the work, puts in the effort.
I only want to see him getting a start if his missus is staying with him.
Well, that's exactly. Well, that's it. And we don't know what's going through Yang's head at the minute. Is he going, right, okay, I'm all in here. I'm going to stay in Glasgow. I'm going to stay in Scotland for X amount of time. I am here. He's in the development project at the minute. That's exactly right. He's got to put in the effort, and we know that he has been trying to do so, and he's really upped his game recently. So let's hope that continues. And over the summer break, he's getting right fired into it, and we can get him a couple of starts, and hopefully then get him projecting further on.
So I'm going to roll a wee question grenade into the room.
Right.
So during the week, I put out a post, just a hypothetical, with one eye on, of course, we're playing against Rangers next week. And I said, Ida and Dessers, two strikers who really polarise and split their respective fan bases right down the middle.
Yes.
I says, if you were to choose, you had only one, who would you choose? Now, a lot of people jumped all over that and were, going to talk Dessers is shy and this, right? And I don't think he's a great footballer. I don't. And it was quite interesting because a lot of people were saying if he was in a Celtic team getting him out of chances, he'd probably score more goals than he scored for Rangers. He might actually be more confident because the fans might not get on his case as audibly as we sit here and we talk and we say he needs to improve. He's not good. And we give him a wee bit of a hard time at times based on what we've seen with our eyes. But I never feel that you've never heard a Celtic player getting booed off the pitch or booed when they're getting subbed on. That's the difference there, right? And on that, just to throw that at you, what was your thought on that? Because there's a lot of people who actually say just by hard numbers and chances created, they thought that big serial loser Dessers was actually better than Adam Ida. Would you go that far?
If you're asking me, do I think he's a better player than Ida, or would I rather have him? That's two different questions to me. So do I think he's a better player than Ida? Yes, unfortunately I do, because he does create more opportunities. He's certainly got a better touch. We always talk about that, and his finishes are a little bit better too. Would I want him on the squad? Not now, anyway. Not now that he's playing for Rangers.
It's one of those wee stupid. It's a wee hypothetical. It's a wee funny.
Yeah, of course.
And what was interesting is a lot of people were saying was, the guy's a bit of a daddy, but at least he gets into positions to miss the chances.
He does, aye.
As well
and he finishes quite well, as I say, majority of the time as well.
And people
even
were
when they're
saying,
chopped
what
off and
big
stuff,
goals has he scored? Now, I said take Ida's 2 goals against Villa out of the equation. Let's take them out.
Yep.
Ida, and again, I'm just speaking with what I see with my eyes and what's put in front of me factually. Ida has scored in every game he's scored in has been a procession.
Yeah.
It's been like 4-0, 6-0, 3-1. You know, it's been a comfortable procession, and against dug meat opposition. Aye. Idiot chops, big Diddy Dessers, if you want to call him that, is scored against the same amount of teams as Ida scored, but he's also scored in a lot of games that his goals have actually affected the game. Right. So that's by the way. Forget Dessers bin. I want to just now talk about Ida. Singular. Like I says with Yang, do you think where are you at with Adam Ida? As I says, I'm very much staying firm on it. I don't care. I'll take the criticism. Adam Ida cannot play in the starting lineup between now and the end of the season and games that we have to win.
Yeah, I totally agree.
We have to win.
Totally agree. He just doesn't have he has the energy, right? But he just doesn't have the aim, if you will, both figuratively and literally. So that's a still push. Scott, yeah, I totally agree. So it's not a hard decision when it comes to that. He's no good coming out straight away. We both know that. We all know that. So those ones where you're saying it's been a procession, yeah, it's been a procession because he's came out at half time or just after about 67 minutes, whatever it may be, and he's put in a couple of finishers. Brilliant. That's what I want. Do you know what I mean? If we can do that and increase the goal difference, then fantastic. So yeah, for me that's the call to make. He comes out late in the game, puts in a couple more, and gets our goal difference up. That's where I see Ida.
Do you think that again, like I says with Yang, I don't think Yang's form, even if it continues between now and the end of the season, changes the manager's perspective on wanting to improve the squad by signing more wingers. I don't think he's going to go, oh, I've got one here. I don't think he's, as it says, he's in the developmental mode. There's always room for guys like him who give you an option. So I'm happy with that, and at a low costage as well. So they're already in house. For me,
so would it even be worth seeing if Ida could play off the wing?
Well, what? No,
get Yang in the middle.
I don't think that's going to work. I think that's madness talk. But what I'm getting at is I don't think that. I think that the new found role and purpose of Maeda says he needs to get a contract extension. I believe he's got 2 years on it. I think we need to strike while the iron's hot whilst he's in a good place. We need to secure him, get him extended. What I am saying is I now think that Adam Ida finds himself potentially, unless he really picks up between now and the end of the season and then shows something in pre-season and the start of the next season, he's in danger of becoming a third choice striker at Celtic, a £9 million third choice striker. And that isn't me jumping down the guy's throat. As I've said, I think there's many attributes to his game. I will say again, for the avoidance of doubt, last season on loan, fantastic, game changing, paid his way, won as a trophy single-handedly, dug us out in the league when we needed to turn things around. Thank you. But again, it's all about consistency. Yes, he didn't have a full pre-season.
Needs to be every season.
And I have given that allowance to say he didn't have a full pre-season Celtic. He had a pre-season at Norwich, different stuff, different style, different standards. So he's not had that Celtic training experience. We didn't have the winter break. So I'm giving him that allowance to say, you've got until December, mate. When now you've been Celtic for 2 seasons, you'll have had a full training camp with Celtic. If you're still doing what you're doing right now, your tea is out. And I'm giving him until the January transfer window, end of this year, before I really properly go in. Some people might say you're already doing that, Steve-O, but I mean firmly nail my card to the mast and say yay or nay. So I'm giving him that allowance, but I genuinely think that Maeda, whereas the manager hadn't said at times, he's got to be looking at Maeda and saying, Maeda is Maeda is my number one striker at this moment in time. If this Christgardner thing's going to come round again, you've got to look at him and say, again, I do nothing much off him for based on what I've looked at, stats, read about him, saw and viewed clips. He looks to be what we expected it to be. He looks more comfortable and more rounded is what I'm getting at. So that would then say, if you go for a guy like Christgardner, is there going to be room for an Ida? Because they're very similar.
Yeah, I certainly hope that a full pre-season will bring out an Ida what needs to come out as well, as I say. And I think he will feel that he does have a point to prove when the season starts up again. Whether it be he's got a point to prove to show Celtic, or he's got a point to prove to show before the transfer window. So, has he bought into it? Has he bought into Celtic? Has he, decided, this is where I want to be for the next amount of years? I think he probably has.
He likes it, yeah.
Yeah, so it's, it'll be interesting to see, certainly. But as you say, give him a bit of time. We'll see how he works out.
And the one thing that I would say, just to finish up on Ida, I'm happy for him, as I say, once the league's secure, I'm happy for him to start games.
Yep.
Right? Because
get the minutes in
and try and build them back up. I just feel like when the task is simply get it over the line, there's no time for trying to give somebody a chance to find their feet. Get the business out of the way, then focus on that. But one thing that I would say that I think about Ida is, particularly this season, and a lot of folk didn't like it when Paddy and I were talking. Paddy used the term, called him a target man. I don't necessarily think he's a traditional target man where you're playing in for the head and all that kind of holding up stuff. I just think he's a big figure to aim for, basically, whether that's along the ground, firing into him or along. But what I say is, and folks says, "Oh, Steve, there's far more to the game. You're being unfair on him, See you build up his confidence." Now, this is me talking. I'm sure the management team are smart enough to know this, and you'll make my point completely redundant. But I'm a great believer that with Ida, what you need to do is, there's many potential good attributes. He's got good speed, he's got good bit of pace, right? When he's got the ball, it can be quite hard to get it off him. He needs to work on that backing in and taking the ball in, because sometimes it can be a trampoline and bounce off him. But generally, if he's got the ball, he can hold up, he can win you fouls. But my point I'm getting is, there's loads of attributes that we can build on and work out through pre-seasons, right? But see, at this moment in time, Celtic need to just accentuate his positives and hide his negatives. Still, what he's been doing when he had been getting chances is trying to come deep, trying to get involved in the play, trying to build it up, trying to be a baller and be touches and flicks. Don't do any of that, mate. Don't do any of that. And
none of the fancy crap.
Don't do any of that. Just harness on the good stuff, which is look at his best goals. They've been the instinctive ones when the ball's been played in front of him and he's had to just attack it. Those have been all right. There's been one or two where he's shifted his body and he's pinged one at a top corner, but generally speaking, the majority of his very low goal tally this season has been when the ball's flashed in front of him. He's just had to attack it. Killer instinct, sharp movement. Dare I say it, like Chris Boyd or Ali McCoist. Not really great at football, but they're in the right place and the attack and the stab at home. That's what Celtic should do. Build him up, build his confidence. Strikers thrive on confidence, and that comes from goals. Say to him, the box is yours, mate. See that wee penalty area? That's where I want you to be.
It's the Maeda effect.
Attack it. That's it.
It's the Maeda effect, because he attacks everything, no matter what. It's right there, always. And whoever gets it at his feet, doesn't matter how they get it at his feet. But it's good. If Maeda's in the box and he's onside, you know it's going in. It's as simple as that. Whereas Maeda, we don't have that confidence as of yet.
And that's the thing. I just think that between now and the end of the season, when the business stuff's out the way, start to reintegrate them and try and build them up. But put an arm around them and just accentuate and focus on the good points he's game at this moment in time. There's a lot of potential good points and developmental points for him, but it's not playing in real time and real games for me isn't the time to work on those things. those for me are training drills, and then
Yeah.
you try to adapt it into your bounce games when it's pre-season stuff and work on that you can then take it in the real thing. There's no room for learning on the job is what I'm saying at between now and the end of the season, unless, as I say, that's once the league's done and it's out the way, then you can start reintegrating them. You maybe get 4 games or something. You can game the start, game the 70 minutes or whatever, and see what happens and take it from there. But for me today, as I say, I would be happy with the 3 we spoke, either through the middle, either through the middle, take care of business, and then bring it on, secure the game, get 2. I think
get
Hibs,
Ida and Yang on late.
Dare I say it, Celtic need to be 3 ahead to kill off Hibs.
I would say so. Aye. Absolutely, because they've played so well recently. We know that they're not going to stop in their attack as well, which is great. That's what you want to see. In fairness, you want to see that from both teams. You want to see it all the time because that's what makes a great game. No slowing down, no stopping the attacking. So that's definitely what we need. Is at least 3 ahead, and then we bring in Forest.
Bring in Forest.
Bring in Forest.
Forest Yang.
Bring in Forest Yang. Ida. Boom. Done. I'm calling it, mate. I'm calling it, right? And it's going to finish 4-1. I'm going to say. I'm not going to say 4-1.
So that your 4-1. What we got here? We've got Paul Maguire's 3-1
to
Celtic.
Nice.
Paddy's went 4-0, obviously.
Of course he has.
Right. So see, you're going to the game with him the day. I want you to put on a 4-0 bet and they say draw a first goal scorer. Make sure Paddy does that. Hold him to account what he's saying.
Yep.
Don't tell anybody Paddy's putting a line on. Right?
I'll put it on for him, don't worry. I'll put it on for him.
Martin's saying the same. He's saying 4-0, all good in the hood there. And
good.
6-0, 426.
6-0.
And I think it says in here, no dodgy VAR decisions. That's it. Take care of business. We're at home. Always say it all the time. If we do our thing, referees, VAR, it shouldn't affect it. And that's it. Home, sunny day, brilliant opportunity, 6-1.
Let's do it.
The goals are coming in. I'm going to be a bit more cautious, maybe a bit boring. I think 3-0. I think it'll be I'm going to just say a comfortable by the numbers. I do think Hibs will get some scares though. I'll say that.
Yeah, I do.
And as much as I think 3-0, I also wouldn't be surprised if they scored at least 1. But
yes,
usually 3-1's my go-to score, but I'm going to go against the grain for myself and say
3-0's usually my go-to. In all honesty, I'm usually my Ada first goal 3-0, but we'll see how it goes. But I reckon it's going to be a good day, but that we're going to let one slip. We're going to let one slip is what I'll say.
Well, we'll see. As we say, it's a sunny day. You've got yourself ready. The clock's ticking. Game's on waiting. And Paddy will be waiting for you. Is
Indeed.
It training? Is somebody picking you up? Who's running? Who's doing the running?
No. We'll go to the train station. We'll jump in a wee bit early. Maybe get a cheeky little pint, and then that'll be us all sorted and ready for the game. And then good spirits.
Love it. Well, as it says, enjoy the game. You're there to see it in living colour and a brilliant day. I'll be watching the telly. Boo hoo hoo. But there we go. Enjoy it, guys. As it says, and when we get after it, we will come back. But it might be later on tonight. It might be tomorrow. But either way, we'll be here to cover it as always. And hopefully, it's safe passage into the next round. We can settle down and focus on the next big game against Rangers throughout the course of the week, mate. So anyway, thanks for taking time out your morning to come and join us. And thanks to everybody. Near enough 100 folk there watching it live at one point. Absolutely love that. So enjoy the game. Safe journey to everybody. If you are going to the game, enjoy yourselves, take care of yourself. Until the next time, as always, hail, hail. See you all later. Bye-bye.